Hi everyone, it's Diane Evans with stampinwithdiane.com. I'm an independent Canadian Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the interior of British Columbia. So if this is one of your first times joining me, welcome. Whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, I really do appreciate you watching me. Just be aware that this is a live. And if I do make any comments to anybody, it's because I am doing it live and I'm answering questions or and going back to comments as we go along. So, welcome to my How Did They Do That series, my Technique Tuesday. This happens to be one of my favorite ones that I'm doing at the moment. This one is where I take techniques, and they might be techniques that you've seen a long, long time ago. You might have seen techniques where I've actually done these on some of my previous lives. But the reason being that I might be repeating some of them. Well, it's because we want it written down, right? We want to have a resource sheet to go along with it. So part of this, how did they do that? Technique Tuesday is I do up, and I'll just jot on right on down to my desktop and we'll show you. So what I have is every week I have a PDF file that you can upload from my Facebook group. Now it's my Stampin' with Stampers group, Diane Stampers group. The link is down. Oh my goodness, where are we going? The link is down below here. Oh my goodness. But in any event, it will be downloaded tomorrow at 9:05 Pacific. And I'm hoping that you're getting good use out of this. It's something that I used to give away as a book, but there's just so much more that you can actually show by doing stuff online. So this is the whitewash technique. I love this technique. This is probably one of my favorite. I want to show it off with the framed florets, the new bundle that's going to be going live to customers on November the 1st. But it's something I want to show you because I just love this technique. And also because last week I showed how to do embossing, and we did colored embossing, but it's all the same technique. But you need to know basic embossing. You need to have that confidence with doing embossing. So it's simple, but the effect to this whole technique is quite stunning. So what you want to do is the key things with doing this is, and I've got my stuff here. The key thing is, and I'm going to do it in petal pink today. Um, the key thing is using either craft paper, and this comes in 6x6. It is available in the J to D mini catalog. I don't know if they're going to be carrying it over, but you could also use crumb cake for this. But I want to use craft paper. Now, this happened to be the piece that came off of the 6x6 because this piece happens to be 4x5 1/4, and it's going to go on here. And then I cut this piece also out of the scallop contours. But anyways, our card base here is 5.5 by 8.5. Let's go in and let's just score that base there. We're going to score that at 4 1/4. I don't vary too much off of these particular sides of a card base. One, they fit into our envelopes, and two, it makes it easier. I do like the tent fold, but this is called a book fold card. All right, so it's scored at 4 1/4. We're just going to fold into the mountain, and we're going to use our bone folder. Hello, Marjorie. All right, and then this part, like I say, is going to go on there. I ran this through the Time Worn embossing folder. I thought that would add a little bit. And you know what? This is a little bit too big. This is 3 3/4. So it should be 3 3/4 by 5 inch. So I'll just trim that down. Oh my goodness. And I'll just trim that down to, that is 5 inch. How come that doesn't? Oh man, we're really having issues with. I tend to keep all of my pieces of cardstock. I keep them at in a box. Obviously, this was a shorter one. So we are going to go ahead and I'm going to do this again. Always when I cut one piece of cardstock, I score for both. So I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2. And then, like I say, that's when I throw this into my box with them all scored and everything. And little behold, it was too short, but that's okay. We're good. So let's go ahead and just fold that in and score that again. All right. So like I said, I have my time worn. Hello, Laura. I've got my time worn. We want to make sure that I've got it going in the words going in the right way. I always try to emboss the word harvest because to me, that's a word that I can really pick out quite fast. So this happens to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then I cut this piece from the scallop contour dies, and this is the 3rd largest. And then off of that craft sheet, I have this extra, and this is what we're actually going to do our stuff on. Now, like I said, because you've done the embossing last week, this part, you will now start seeing so many techniques that incorporate embossing. And that's why it's so important to have, to know and get used to how to emboss. Because honestly, your world is just opened up once you've got that technique of embossing down. All right. So, of course, when we're embossing, we need our Versamark. And like I said, what I'm using is this new, it's actually coming out as a suite, but it's really going to be in the JDD mini catalog as a bundle. So it's called Frame Florets, and so are the dies. And then the fitted florets, the rest of the suite has different embellishments. It's got gold embellishments. It's got some designer series paper, and it has one more thing in there, and I can't remember what it is. But in any event, what you need to do is, if you like the designer series paper, which I'm not using today, and if you like the embellishments, is get them while you can, once you can get them, because once they're sold out, they're sold out. All right, so like I said, I am using that stamp set. I want to use the Wishes for a Beautiful Birthday stamp. We're going to stamp that. And then I also want to use this one and this one. Now, it's a smaller image, and it is and should be on a paper piercing mat. But I do have, I've got a whole pad of my grid paper here. So that should be enough to have it as a padding on there. Oh, you've never seen this technique, Betty. Actually, on my group, there is a picture. The picture that's on there is actually the technique, this same technique. I love this technique. All right, so I've got that stamped. We also want to stamp those leaves. So I'm just going to go in, stamp these leaves as well. Now, the key that you're going to use here, because you're using craft paper, we are going to use gold embossing powder. So I'm just going to come in with my scrap piece of paper, and we're just going to get that. Like I say, once you know and have embossing mastered, your whole world is now opened up into some pretty amazing techniques. Okay, I have that done. I'm going to heat emboss, and I'm going to do it all together. On this scallop piece here, this is the one that I want to put these words on. Beautiful script. I just love these ones, and this one. This one's really nice for a special person on a special day. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's go ahead and get our Versamark on there as well. Don't forget to use the embossing buddy. And I'm going to do that verse mark once more. And we're just going to put that right. I'm going to put it up a little bit to the top. I'm just moving it over here so I can see it without getting my head. Right about there. Like I say, I have enough padding because I have a pad of grid paper down here. Talk about being lazy. I just leave the grid paper, and once it gets dirty, I just tear off it, turn it over, and then carry on. Okay. Now what we can do is we can heat set this. Wow, that's so pretty, that one. All right, so we've got our heat gun. I'm going to put it on the high heat, and then we're going to basically get it so it's heated up. Oh, good, good. And Margaret and Pam from Nova Scotia, and Margaret from Australia, and Janet from Ontario. Oh my goodness. Welcome. I'm so glad you joined me. All right, so now this does look better with a larger image, but I wanted to show this image off as well. So we've just got that done. And then we'll just do this one as well. It's going to be a very, very pretty card. All right. Okay. So let's do the whitewash part. All right, so what you want to do, and your key thing that you're going to need, is this Whisper White stamp pad. This is, hello, Myrtle. Welcome. This is the key to this. Now, whitewash, just being the way that it is, I don't know if anybody's ever had an old cement pool. I mean, that's something that's way from the back. But in between seasons, you used to have to whitewash it. Another thing that used to do around here an awful lot, and especially at, on the ocean and that sort of stuff, would be people would whitewash their sheds and everything else. And what it did was it protected from the weather. Well, this has nothing to do with that. But in any event, it's whitewashing is things people would do that to their fences. It's kind of an old thing. It's not something that we do anymore, but we do in crafting. So I'm just inking this part up, and the only reason I'm doing that is because it's hard with the new ones to get this down into the lid there. And I'm going to come in, and I have an old aqua painter. Now, I would use either a regular brush or an old aqua painter. I wouldn't use my water, my new water ones that are like this, because honestly, this craft ink it's like a pigment ink, and once it's on there, sometimes it's on there for life, so we don't really want to ruin that. All right, so I'm just dipping that actually in some water, and I'm just getting my whitewash going right here. And then all I'm going to do is I am going to paint the petals. Now, wherever you've got that embossing, the this whitewash is not going to, it's going to basically repel off of there. So we want it to be fairly dark. So we can go back in and do another layer or two, depending. I have to kind of turn this or lift it up so that I can kind of see where the petals are. Like I say, you could do it right into the well of your stamp pad. But we're just going to get that. See, it's a whitewash. And we could turn around and leave it exactly like this once we've done this. Now, originally I wasn't going to do the leaves, but I found that it didn't quite show up enough, so that's why I'm now doing the leaves. But see how that just repels right off of the Versamarked image. You say this is very, very pretty with very big images, but I just wanted to use this beautiful, beautiful new set. So I'm going to come back in and I want some more. And we're just going to get that. Come in here. But like I say, you could leave it like this. It's actually quite effective just like this as well. So see how it's going there. And then I'm going to go and do my leaf image here as well. I'm going to have to do this a couple times because there's so many veins in these leaves that it's really repelling it a lot. I love how everyday things that you do, like say this whitewashing, that it's been incorporated into stamping, right? The other thing I really like about stamping is when you can start refurbishing household goods and make them into very, very handy stamping tools and effects that you can get with it. All right, so I'm just, like I say, I'm going to color that up. But see how we could just leave that just like that. We wouldn't have to, thanks, Myrtle. You wouldn't have to color it, but I'm going to go ahead and color it. Now I don't need this anymore. I'm going to wipe it off with a special cloth so that it doesn't, because it's a pigment. I don't want to use my chamois. I don't want to use my my scrub, because honestly it will stain it. Now we're going to come back in, and this is something that I've always said. You've got to be very, very careful that you don't want to overburn the embossing, the raised embossing. So I've got this on my low setting, and now this is, I am just wanting that to dry, and I am moving the gun like I tell you not to do when you're embossing. I just want to dry that image, or dry that whitewash that I've done. There we go. All right. Like I say, we could go ahead and we could use this. And honestly, I usually always say, when you're going to do something, before you color it and do all that extra work, is to cut it out. I have those already sort of done and cut out, but I wanted to show you the technique that goes with this. Okay, so we're using the same petal pink. So I'm going to need that ink pad. And I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz on the leaves. Like I say, we could go with this effect, and I think it would be very, very pretty on the card. Do you know what I'm saying? But wait till you see this. This makes it even prettier. So I'm just taking a sponge dauber, and I'm just going to go into the center of the flower. And I'm just going to go into the center here. See how I've now got a bit of color on there? I found that the sponge dauber, because it was such a small image, I came in and I used the eyeshadow brushes. And this way I can go in and actually get in where I want to go. And then we can just lightly color the other petals. Now I want to show you what that looks like. See how that looks? So pretty. And honestly, it's so subtle, but it's so pretty. I love this technique. But I bet I've already said that, right? So then we're going to have another eye brush sponge, I guess. And I'm just going to come in And I'm just going to do a tiny little bit on the green, the leaves. See, we're just getting just a bit of color. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on this part as well. So small, it's hard to hold. And just like that. So there is our whitewashing. All right, so we've got all our inks. We put our inks away. Now, what I would do is come in with this one, cut my leaves out. And good thing I didn't want to cut this out online, because the other one I must have left over on my cut and emboss machine. In any event, I've already gone ahead and I've already cut those two out. And so we have them, and they're going to go on here and on here. So let's bring that card back in. Well, thank you. All right. So like I said, I've got this run through the time worn embossing folder. I want to have some gold, or I want to use either this ribbon. This is that petal pink ribbon, and it feels like suede actually. Or we've got this really pretty gold ribbon. And I think honestly, I'm going to go ahead and put this like this. And this is going to go up here. And then I'm thinking I might put this gold looped behind here. So let's put this on to begin with. Oh, and I know I'm almost out of this ink. So on a webinar, I know I just opened that, but I was on a webinar and I did my glued some parts of my swaps that I'm taking with me to Vienna when I go for that Stampin' Up conference. All right. Now this is, I'm going to take this and I'm going to do something a little bit, I'm going to pop this up. Let's do that first. So I'll just come in with my dimensionals. There. Leave those out. We're going to put this right onto here. So, don't those two colors look so great together? Crumb cake looks really good too, but I really like that craft. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to take my tear and tape. Well, I would have taken my tear and tape if it was where it was supposed to be, I'd have it. Well, I guess we'll have to do something different. Okay, so I'm going to come in with my ribbon scissors and I am going to cut this ribbon. I'm hoping, see if I had this, well, we're going to do it this way. I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to put this onto here. And then that kind of holds my ribbon so that I can cut it. That's why I was looking for the tear and tape, but it's all good. And this ribbon does fray. We kind of want it to. I'm thinking that that should be about enough. Take this side. And now, sorry, I've just got to get that so it's not sticky. What I've done is I've just taken my embossing buddy and just rubbed it over where it was sticky. All right, so this is, just want this to be frayed a little more. And because I want it frayed, it won't fray. There we go. All right. So like I say, this is going to go on here like this. And this, oh, look at all that ribbon all over the place now, is going to go on here like this. So I'm actually going to go ahead and glue that on there. So again, it's going to go like that. I want that part to be covering that corner of the scalloped shape, or the scalloped. There we go. And we want that to sit for just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ribbon and we're going to loop it. And like I say, I really wanted that to fray a lot more than what it did. It's not fraying like it should. So I think if I took my take your pick tool and pulled that out, it'll fray. There we go. See, this would be so pretty behind it. All right. So now I'm going to come in with my seal. I want to say I've got this stuff all over the place, but it's going to give that effect of a very, very fine gold ribbon. Gold thread is more like what it is. And I know it's not going to really see too much in the picture. Let's see. A little fiddly, but it really does add the effect. All right, so we've got that. And we're also going to put this ribbon where it's going to be fuller pieces of the ribbon. I need some more seal on there. And we're mix and matching basically like a thin and a thicker gold thread like image. That's just going to tie into the rest of the card. I'm going to bring that up a little bit closer because I'm going to put it up. See how there's just little bits in there? All right, so let's go back in with our dimensionals and we're going to put that on there. Looks like a real mess on the back, but we're going to cover this all up with dimensionals. I would also put tear and tape on here if I had it close and handy. Now this probably would have looked really, really good with gold embellishments on it. So let's go ahead and let's just put that right about there. And then there they are. These are the gold embellishments that come with the fitting florets or the framed florets. They always name everything different and it makes it a little more difficult. All right, so I'm just going to actually use those because I think that'll be so pretty on this one. And let's go and put one down there. So there's our whitewash right there. And of course you have to make the card pretty, right? Originally I was going to use the elegant faceted gems, but I really think those gold gems look so pretty on there. Thank you. Thanks so much, Alice. When you share a video, that's one of the best compliments that I could ever ask for. And I really do appreciate that when you do share it. If you like this, make sure you give me the thumbs up. Make sure that you share my video. And also make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube. Very, very important that you do subscribe. Now, don't forget, as part of being a member of my Facebook group, which is Stamping with Diane's Stampers group, there is a link down here below that basically has um, it's to my Facebook group, not the beginners group, the other group. And at 9:05 tomorrow, I will be posting with this sheet. I will be posting this a copy of this picture here showing the technique that we did. I'm going to also write some different things down here. I'll give you the measurements of this card just because you may want to know how it's put together, like just for the fact I know when I sometimes look at a picture, I go, I wonder what that measurement is. And then also the notes. So I'll put down the frame florets thing and I'll put down these embellishments and I'll give you the order number for November the 1st. Now, if you do live in Canada and you just can't wait till November the 1st to get your hands on this, reach out to me. That's one of the benefits of having a starter, starting with a starter kit, because you can include this in your starter kit. So in any event, all right, so what's happening? I'm so glad that you've joined me. Thank you so much. Okay, so tomorrow is Mystery Wednesday. That's where I'm going to give you a clue, a couple of different clues. And that's something you can use from your stash. I will be doing the same thing. I have one of my followers here that when I give the clues at noon Pacific time, that she turns around and she does her card, which is great. She's doing it ahead of time. Remember, if you enter into the mystery challenge and or the sketch challenge, I do have a prize for people that live in Canada. I can give away product, and people that live outside of Canada, I can give away a tutorial. And I've got a couple tutorials that I can give away. In any event, you guys, thank you for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. And that's the whitewash technique. So I'm dying to hear how you made out with it. If you have any questions, just reach out. And I always monitor the comments on my YouTube channel and that sort of stuff. If you're commenting on a page or whatever, just tag me in there. Just put Diane Evans on there and I will be sure to get it. In any event, thank you. Thank you so much. So have a great evening and we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.